So, you want to bag your BMW Z4 or your Toyota Supra. So, hello and welcome to another video, guys. So, we have two lovely cars here. Obviously, they are, you know the story. Or kung sa mga hindi nakakaalam, this is a Toyota Supra and this is the BMW Z4. The BMW Z4 is yung chassis na hiniram ni Toyota or they collaborated with BMW. They borrowed this chassis and made the Toyota Supra. So, kaya namin ito pinagsama dito sa video na to. Yes, we actually combined this video into one kasi they're practically the same chassis. Well, they are the same chassis, but they're not the same car. Some people will argue na, yeah, they are the same car. Well, not really. Okay? Despite the fact na pareha sila ng chassis, doon na natatapos ang lahat eh. Makina and chassis lang. The interior, the body panels, and everything is totally different. The layout is different. I can personally attest to that because I own this car and I drove this car, and this feels sobrang iba ang feeling nito dito sa isang to. But we'll get into that later. But for now, ang ating pag-uusapan sa video na ito is not. Okay, we'll do a mini review. Pag-uusapan natin siya ng konti, pero we're not going to dive deep into that. We're gonna talk about the air suspension of these cars. We're gonna show you the Supra and the BMW's under chassis or the Z4's under chassis, and makikita nyo yung difference or the similarities. Okay? Regardless, under chassis-wise, they're the same. So I have two cars connected to these two phones, and I just want to do this shot. Pagbigyan nyo na ako. I want to air out both cars. Sorry, pagbigyan nyo na ako. Okay? So pag-uusapan natin ito muna pang ilalim. If given the chance, we can actually do another video of an in-depth review ng dalawang ito. Pero this car has to go home tomorrow. So this is the only time I will be able to film both cars at the same time. I actually pulled out this car from Lipa City just so it can be in this video today. And I just really want to do this video, collaboration with the two cars. And I think it's going to be a great content. Kasi you'll be actually seeing the, key difference lang ng kotse, pero similarities nila sa pangilalim. So yeah, we talked about how they are very, very similar cars. But yeah, the air suspension build is the one we will be discussing on this one. This one, we used a K-Sport coilover conversion kit na ginawa namin. And this is a Air Force air suspension air strut kit na binili natin kay Autoline. Shout out kay Alex. Ito ang buena mano namin dalawa. This car is our first client together. Buena mano ang benta niya sa shocks. Buena mano naman kami sa air suspension dito sa coaching to. So it's going to be very memorable for the both of us as two builders in one project. So, with that being said, it's going to be a very, very interesting video and could be a bit longer than usual. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know more or to hear more about these two cars. Watch the video, like and share the video. Okay, hit the bell icon for a notification and strap in your thinking hats. It's going to get technical but educational. If you have a BMW Z4 or Toyota Supra, this is the perfect video for you. You will be able to see the difference and similarities nila in just one video. And also, on top of that, matututo pa kayo sa basic knowledge ng air suspension ng dalawang kotseng ito. I will have to end the intro here. So, let's talk about the under chassis of those cars behind us right now. Alright, hello and welcome sa front suspension ng BMW Z4. Once again, this is going to be very, very similar dun sa Toyota Supra. So, i-discuss ko na dito sa Z4 kung anong type ng suspension to. So, this is actually a McPherson type strut. Okay? Sadly. Ibig sabihin, itong ating shocks, pag pumihit yung manibela, iikot din to. So, as you can see, ito yung fitting ng ating Air Force air suspension. The problem with this one is hindi siya naka-angle. Katulad dun sa ating K-Sport later, you'll see. So, it's actually already angled directly here. So, pero, with that being said naman, kahit umikot to, the clearance of the fitting will actually be very, very okay. Hindi naman tayo magkakaproblema. We followed the brake lines para sa ikot ng ating hose. So that's why mayroon tayong mga cable tie dito just to secure it pag umikot yung shock. Yan ang problema ng McPherson type strut. Okay? Air Force air suspension is a coilover na naka-airbag na. This is a kit, ready to buy, ready to install. The reason why hindi ko to ginawa sa Supra ko kasi I want a specific strut for my car and I want that to perform for me. Yun ang kinonvert ko to bags. Yun lang ang advantage na sa akin. Kasi I can pick whatever brand I choose to pick. Okay? Another thing to note is that maluwag naman ito. Hindi siya sobrang sikip katulad ng mga iba namin ginagawa. But nonetheless, they used a slim bag sa front ng Air Force air suspension strut nila. Regardless, yeah, napakasimple ng unahan ng Z4 at saka ng Supra. Ang pinaka-downside lang niya is McPherson pa siya. Yung pumipihit yung strut, umiikot ang strut pag kumakabig ng manibela. Or in English, the shocks pivot on its axis when it turns the steering wheel, thus having a rotating action here sa ating fitting. Yun lang ang issue natin lagi. Pag McPherson strut, dyan tayo nagkaka-issue. Let's go to the Supra real quick para makita natin yung difference or similarities. Alright, hello and welcome naman dito sa ating Toyota Supras. As I've said kanina, they're practically the same. And ito naman naka-K-Sport coilovers. So, as you can see, it's a different type of strut. Okay? And the only thing different from the Z4 to the Supra is meron tayong cancellers dito. So this is actually a canceller kit because the Supra has a dynamic suspension and that Z4 kanina is wala. Pero the top of the line Z4 actually has a dynamic suspension. So you'll also need a canceller if you're going to bag your Z4. But for now, for the Supra, technically same thing. As you can see, everything's the same. The struts and everything is the same. So we're just using a K-Sport coilovers here. And kung stock suspension to, meron ditong motorized damper adjustment, which is, this is actually the canceller for it. So it just looks the same. Alright. Welcome to the rear side of the suspension ng ating Toyota Supra. We have here a divorce suspension layout, independent rear suspension, or to be specific, it is a multi-link rear suspension. Now, makikita nyo yung difference na ginawa namin sa Supra at sa Z4. First, sa Z4 muna tayo. This is the Air Force air suspension plug-and-play kit at saka assembly ng airbag niya sa likod. Another thing to note, Air Force air suspension actually changes. Okay? Changes the... Meron silang pamalit. It has a replacement toe arm para iwasan niya itong airbag na to. So you can see, I can fit 2 fingers, no problem, dito sa likod. Okay? It's actually a bent toe arm. May curvature na siya dito para iwasan yung bag. And that's really smart of them to do kasi that's usually the problem with BMWs. Yung toe arm natin is usually laging malapit dito sa bag. So, with an initial checking at further inspection, wala naman tayong rubbing issue sa bag. The Air Force air suspension does its job pretty well to clear the bags of obstacles. Now, they're using a slim bag sa likod, which is a bit smaller than the one in the front. But for our Supra, you'll see the difference. We're actually using a super slim bag, which is used on supercars. We'll discuss that in a bit, pero just to see, ito yung Air Force air suspension strut natin, which is a coilover. Okay? Divorce siya, magkahiwalay. So, that poses difficulty naman sa pagbuo ng air. Laging pag-divorced ang suspension, okay? When the suspension is divorced, that's the only issue when building this type of, suspension builds. Okay? That being said, the complication ends there. You have to take note, multi-link suspension always have very tight spaces. So having a very, very well-built bag assembly is a plus. Props to Air Force air suspension for building such a robust setup. You'll see the ones that we did for the Supra. Let's go to the Supra real quick so you can actually see the difference of what we did versus a plug-and-play kit. Okay? Alright, as for the Toyota Supra naman, on the back side, as you can see, yes, they're the same, but we have the canceller here. Okay? And of course, we're using a different type of bag. Okay? We're using a very, very specific type of airbag here, which we actually use for supercars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis. So this is what we call the Super Slim. And the Super Slims tend to be, a shorter version of the double bellows, but strong enough to handle the damping. Kasi the torque is too much on the rear. You need to have a bag that will actually support that torque, and this bag does the job. Yun yung difference ng bag ng Z4 na nasa video na ito, laban dito sa Supra. And yun lang naman ang difference ng ginamit natin, kaya hindi ko ginamit yung sa Z4 na type of bag. Because I like this better, because this handles the power better. If you have an M40i, I would also suggest that bag, not the other one from the kit. It's too soft daw talaga. So, yun lang naman. It's all the same. Canceller lang din ang meron dito. That's dynamic suspensions compared to the other Z4 na wala. But, once again, the top of the line Z4 will also get the dynamic suspensions. Alright? So, yeah. Alright. Hello and welcome sa trunk layout ng BMW Z4. As you can see, sobrang limited na space natin for the trunk, and he already have a boombox there. So yung footprint ng boombox niya or subwoofer, yung pinagbasihan namin ng aming trunk layout. So the trunk layout is sporting a classic Fitment engineering management system. We used a 3-gallon tank and we compressed everything as far as we can so we can actually accommodate the tight space. But nonetheless, we were able to do that. Okay, so the reason why we actually opted for a external pump layout muna dito kasi he basically has a trunk. And that trunk has a physical separation dun sa cabin niya sa loob. So when the pump operates, it's not that noisy compared to having a situation sa Supra natin, wherein the Supra is actually a hatchback. Imagine mo nasa likod yung pump ng ulo mo, sobrang bingi ka talaga. For him, it's actually advantageous for him to have a trunk setup kasi the isolation is actually there, and he was able to save money on getting the classic fitment instead of the endo. So the classic fitment has pressure sensors lang, but is ready for height sensors if need be, sporting our Generation 2 Fitment Engineering Management System, and it's good for daily use. We occupied 50% of the space, and yeah, that's the biggest compromise that you can have for the air suspension, but nonetheless, it's not like the Z4 has a big trunk space to start with. So I think this is a good compromise for the client. Plus, he already has sound system on the top. He has a subwoofer here. Adding the air suspension was just the cream of the crop na. Or yun na yung pinaka parang toppings natin, okay? The air suspension just, finalized his trunk layout. Everything is now properly populated, and I think he's gonna have fun with this setup. Okay? That's all we need to do, or that's all we need to talk about sa trunk ng Z4. Let's quickly go to the Supra, okay, and see the difference nung hatchback naman ng Supra natin. Okay? Alright, in regards naman sa Supra, we don't have a trunk. What we have is a hatchback. So, we actually used a Endo CVT for this setup. Wala tayong pump na nakalabas. As you can see, you can only see the tank and the system itself, and the compressors are actually inside, and the valves are actually the face of the tank. Yung dalawang cheeks niya, or yung kanyang dalawang takip, rather, is the valve itself. The reason why we did this is because, as I've said kanina, hatchback tong Supra, so everything's exposed from the driver's side to the back, okay, sa hatch. So, andun yung driver, rig mo lahat. Kung maingay yung pump mo, talaga mabibingi ka. So this is actually the disadvantage of the Supra. But does it give you more space? Honestly, it gives me more space than the Z4. In terms of air suspension, kailangan mo talaga ng endo if you're going with a Supra. So yun lang naman ang issue ko sa Supra when you're going bags for it, is that you really need this quiet pump. Yan yung trunk layout natin or hatch layout natin sa Supra. Nothing much to discuss. I can't talk more about this kasi the video is gonna get long. But yeah, this is my setup for my Supra on the trunk side, and yeah. Hello and welcome back. We are in the outro of this video. So, kamusta naman yung discussion natin? As you can see, the front and the rear are very identical sa dalawang kotseng ito. Although we use a different kind of bag for this car than this car, but technically the whole base frame or yung pinaggagawa natin or yung stock parts niya is very, very identical. Regardless of what they are or what they are not or what they are really, in fact, these cars are actually both great cars. I drove the Supra to Baguio and it really felt like a great driving car. And then the Z4, I drove it around Makati and it's actually very, very sobrang enjoy ako dito. I dare say na mas nag-enjoy ako dito kesa dito. Okay? The fun factor nito was really, or the cool factor nito was really, really there, present. Okay? It has presence. Okay, that you have a BMW convertible, talagang iba ang tingin sa'yo ng tao. But, yung atensyon na binibigay ni Supra, iba. And yung fun factor nito, mas maganda, mas masaya. Okay? This is a very cool car, but this is a very fun car. Okay? Take note. Cool, fun. Okay? If you want attention, get the Supra. If you want something cool and loaded with features, okay? Better comfort, better head unit, better interior, get the Z4. Okay? Ito pa nakakatawa. Pinaglalaban ko yung Supra sa base model Z4. Kahit base model ito, lamang na lamang to sa other features niya. Busina na lang, guys. Okay? Laban dito. So, isa pa. Supra Z4. So, dun pa lang, you get so much more with the Z4. But yes, ironically, the price of the base model Z4 is actually close to the Supra already. So, if you want power, get this. But if you want this with the power, get the M40i or the Z4 na mayroong same engine ito. But that will be the end of the small review ng ating segment na ito. Let's go back to the air suspension. So as you can see, both of them actually dropped really low. Dare I say, mas mababa ang Z4 na ito. Because this Z4 is actually sporting some 17-inch wheels with a thinner tire. The front, they both drop the same. Same sila ng clearance sa baba. Around 2 fingers. Dare I say nga na mas mababa pa ang Z4. But at the back, okay, since mas makapal yung goma na Supra from the factory, we actually have more drop on the Z4 kasi yung kanyang pader ng kanyang gulong o yung sidewall ng gulong niya mas maliit. So they are both really low cars. And they're both bangers, you know, in the stand scene. Okay? Albeit, hindi pa kami naka-aftermarket wheels. Pero ang pogi na ng kotse. Imagine if this will get a proper wheel and this will get a proper wheel, sobrang game over talaga. Ang point ko doon is, maganda ang kahang ito, lalo for stance and air suspension. Okay? This is what I like about the Supra as well. It can play in the stance scene, it can play in the horsepower scene. Same with this guy. It can play in the stance scene, it can play in the horsepower scene if you get the M40i. Okay? Is this a great platform for air suspension? Heck yeah. If you can afford one, if you can buy one, get one. Sobrang, itong dalawang coaching ito will be very timeless. This is basically the Boxster versus the Cayman. Okay? The Porsche Boxster. Ito yung tinatarget ng Z4 eh. Ito naman ang tinatarget ng Supra, si Cayman. Cayman, Boxster. Boxster, Cayman. And this is the package that BMW and fortunately Toyota gave to us to battle the Porsche, the titan of a car builder that is Porsche. I really hope I have another time to shoot these two cars together. I really don't have enough time to squeeze it all in. This is a so you want to bag your BMW Z4/Toyota Supra video, not a review. Okay? So, that being said, maraming salamat nga pala sa owner. When we finished the when we finished the Supra, he immediately contacted me. He was very interested kasi we already did the Supra. And that is the biggest thing, or the first big thing na nagawa na Supra natin is it immediately got the Z4 for us. Kakabili lang natin na Supra, nakakuha tayo ng Z4. So it's slowly paying for itself and that's very, very good for the Supra. I really am proud of what we have or the demo car that we have here. And sa mga suporta, lalong dumami suporta natin thanks to this car and yung ating, we are actually reaching more people using this car. So it does its job so well. So I'm really happy that we got this car. So you want to bag your BMW Z4 or Toyota Supra. This is how. Okay? If you want to do this, hit me up. Let's do it. Sa ulo ko na ang chassis ito. If there's a guy that you need to contact in the Philippines to work on these types of cars, it's me. It's going to be us. Okay? With that being said, please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for the notification. Thank you for watching, guys. It's been Cal from Fitment Engineering, and you're watching Fitment TV. I'll see you on the next episode, okay?